Today we will be finding the circumference of a circle. Of a circle. Previously, I have explained that circumference is like the perimeter. Circumference is like the perimeter of the circle. Okay, and by perimeter, you know that it's the distance around. So, that's a terrible circle. Can't draw the end of the circle. Okay, so let's say that you want to wrap this circle around with a string, you say. So you want to wrap this circle around with a blue string all the way around. Then how long, if you stretch out this blue string over here, if you stretch out the blue string, how long should the string be if you want to go all the way around the circle exactly one time? And mathematicians found the correlation between the diameter and the circumference. So remember, the diameter is this length right here. So this is the radius, this is the diameter. So the diameter is the distance from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle through the center. Okay? And if you wrap the diameter around the circle, so let's say we have a diameter. Okay. And we want to wrap this diameter around the circle. So it goes around like this. And then, so it goes around one time. Or this is how long one diameter would be around the circle. It's going to make an arc. So we can do it, you can put another diameter around like this. And it's still not going to be quite a full circle. So we're putting a third diameter like this. And after you put the third diameter, mathematicians found that there's always this little portion left that's not quite covered by 3 diameters. So notice that we've had one diameter here, one diameter from here to here. We've had another diameter from here to here. We had our third diameter from here to here. And there's always this portion that's left. Okay? And it turns out that the diameter goes inside the full circle exactly 3.141592 ... And this decimal number doesn't actually end. It's an irrational number, meaning it doesn't repeat and it goes on forever. So the decimal point just keeps on going forever. And this famous number is called pi. You write it like this, and you read it like this, pi. Okay, and you might have heard of pi before. Pi is most commonly represented as 3.14. Even though it's not exactly 3.14, as you can see here, there are other numbers after 3.14. But for simplicity's sake, we'll just use 3.14 as pi in this section. So when you wrap the diameter around the circle like this, as seen in our picture here, there's always this portion. Let me mark that in green. This portion in green that is 0.14 of the diameter. Okay, so how do you find the circumference of a circle? You can then use the formula. So the circumference, I'll just write as C, is going to be equal to the pi, okay, times the diameter. I'll write it as D. Okay, because remember, if you do D, or if you wrap D around pi times around the circle, it's going to be one full circle. Okay, so that's where this formula comes from. So now let's try few calculations to find the circumference. So if the diameter of the circle is 10, what would the circumference be? I'll just write sir here. The diameter is 10, what would the circumference be? Well, you just multiply 10 times pi, and remember, pi is, well, we're using 3.14 as pi here, so just do 10 times 3.14, and that's going to be 31.4. Oh, I forgot to write units here, centimeters. Circumference is also going to be centimeters. So if the diameter is 10 centimeters, then the circumference is going to be 31.4 centimeters. What if the diameter is 5 meters? What would the circumference be? Okay, so for the circumference, you just do the diameter times pi, which is 3.14. We're using 3.14 for now. And what does that equal? 3.14 times 5. It's going to be 0, 0, 16? Nope. Sorry. It should be 2 and 7 and 15.7 meters. Okay, so that's the circumference. So given the diameter, we can find the circumference by multiplying the diameter times pi. Now, what if we know the radius but not the diameter? So let's move. Actually, let me keep the formula here. Okay, circumference is pi times diameter. So let's say we know that the radius is 3 meters. What is the circumference? Okay, so remember the circumference is pi times the diameter, and pi is 3.14, times the diameter. If we know the radius, can we find the circumference? Well, to get the diameter, previously I've told you that radius is half of the diameter. Diameter is twice the radius. So if radius and diameter are always related by the number 2. So if radius is 3, diameter is 6. Just do times 2. If the diameter is 10, the radius is 5. So radius is half, the diameter is twice. Okay, so if the radius is 3 in this case, first change the radius to the diameter. Okay, so if the radius is 3, then that means the diameter equals 6. Right? So to get the circumference, you just do 6 times 3.14. That's going to equal 18.84 meters. Okay, so if you know the radius to get the circumference, you'll have to do 2 times the radius first. So that part is the diameter, and then multiply that times pi. If you know the diameter, you can just do the diameter times pi. So remember that 2 times radius is the same as diameter. So depending on which information you know, if you know radius, you can use this formula. If you know diameter, you can use this formula. But more importantly than just memorizing formulas, know that the concept of radius and diameter is that one is twice the other, and that the radius is half of the diameter. And for now, use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so that is how you get the circumference or the perimeter of a circle.